We can do this inside of our body mechanics as well. So if you give me a feed, so my partner's going to put their force down onto my feet, and let's say it's on my back foot. So normally in a lot of internal systems, you relax into the foot, you do the release of the muscles, the fascia, into the sensation of life force, and then you pump and you extend the mind out and you shoot the arrow. So we have the force coming into the foot, we relax and sink, we soften, and then we extend the mind and the energy outwards. And then we slowly accelerate the timing. We just do it a bit sooner, and then as my partner coming in, I just keep pumping that foot. And each time I increase the length of the timing, I can change the personality. So there I sort of put a waving force through the matrices, and or if you come in, a bit more of an extending, relaxed, floating type of force between the energy. But the idea is that we'll go right back to the beginning again. So force is there, touches the foot, I have a tension line, and then I relax into the fascia and extend the energy out. This is a normal way that people mechanically float and start bridging from the fascia to the life force and extending awareness. Then I accelerate it slightly, and each time my partner comes in, I still have my power model that's working, I'm syncing, and every time I do it, I'm mapping out the tension in my partner's body. If I don't map out the tension, I can't amplify the effect. So like there's a reaction. If we start again, I feel my partner's tensions in his body, and I can influence what I can feel. So if I feel his tension there and I feel a little bit down there, that's what I'm putting my energy into. Each time I do this, I have to feel more so that my energy hits more of him. That means I need less energy to get a bigger result. So I just call this mapping. I map out his body. People call it listening energy. But mapping is exactly what you're doing. You're mapping out tension there. Stick to it, release it, open, stretch the mind, the balance out, and you can influence your partner. So by mapping their system, you'll find that it gets easier and easier and easier. And then if you have done a few hours with the person, you've unconsciously developed a relationship to that map. You just send energy towards them and you affect them. So the speed at which you do this is very directly related to that listening and mapping skill. Now, let's say you didn't really pay attention to the details. It may take you months to be able to affect a person easily. If you pay attention to the details, it'll take minutes to hours to affect them easily, because you're unconsciously developing a relationship with their attention and where your internal energy hits them. So always keep that in mind when you're training this. Back to the exercise. We're going down to the ground. He's feeding his mind to my foot and his weight and energy to my foot. And then I just slowly accelerate that timing and stretch in both directions and send the energy out. When you're accelerating timing, the first transformation, it's when you slow the energy down, you slow the mind down, slow the feelings down. You're essentially releasing time. And releasing time is simply a quality of making everything in your feelings slower and slower and slower and slower. What this does, it doesn't actually slow down the speed of doing something. It just drops you to a deeper layer of influence within yourself and within your training partner. So when you do the first transformation exercise, 4-cycle breath and tuning the breath, and then you add that into shunting exercises as solo practice, and then you add it into your Fa Jin, you'll begin to notice you have a deeper connection to your training partner. And it doesn't need that many hours of that practice, but you need to be connecting the dots so that your solo practice is bridging into your partner practice. If you isolate your solo practice, I'm just going to do first transformation and do this, and has no mechanical, practical image, mental image concept connected to partner work, the dots won't connect. The energies won't bridge across. So by adding the shunting exercise we sync and shunt, then that connects automatically. Oh, I can touch the person and shunt and do the first transformation. So solo exercise becomes valuable in a partner exercise. Most internalists don't connect very well. You know, they'll go, oh, this is for power development, then I'm going to do all this push hand stuff for application, and somewhere between Fajin is supposed to appear. It doesn't really work that way. You need to have the expression of the energy in a solo application directly relevant to a partner application. Okay, so do this pumping the gin down from the ground, accelerate the timing, and the mechanics of how you sync, stretch, and send the energy out, you just do it a little bit earlier. But remember, you have to have that map there. If I can't feel him once I've stopped touching him, I've only got my unconscious relationship to him for the energy to go to. So that unconscious is habit. So if I, let's say, do 10 minutes of generating a habit of mapping his body and being very, very aware, then I don't have to be very conscious of it anymore. My unconscious will do it for me. But if I'm just doing Fajin and not mapping his body out, I'm not putting impressions into my unconscious to be able to do that work for me. And this is why we do the writing. If you've got any whiteboards, those little ones or a big whiteboard in your training hall, if let's say I touch my partner and I go, oh, there's tension underneath in that hip and there's like a vibratory resistance. I go up to my pad of paper and my journal, right? Okay, his hips are vibrating and resisting, and there's a protective sensation there that he's trying to protect something around his back, and there's a bit of trauma and injury there. And then I touch again. I'm straight there because I just told my subconscious I want to put energy there. And it may be that I want to get in and feel that energy and just simply release that trauma around his hips and dissolve it out of his body during that mapping process. So I may want to make my partner exercise have a healing quality to the Fajin as well. And what that'll mean is that if I take that trauma out of his hips, he can feed me more strongly with less risk of injury. Because remember, people do get injured in rebounding. This isn't a health exercise normally, it's a martial exercise. If you add the healing into it, there's less chance of getting injured. So writing down in your journal or on a whiteboard, every sensation you experience in your training partner, you're mapping them out, that map will form much more quickly and you get a subconscious relationship. So you just send energy to the person, it's going to go straight to the map because your subconscious already knows where to put it because you've generated a habit of paying attention and sending energy there. So this process, it really controls your learning speed. If you spend a lot of time mapping, you get there really fast. If you don't, it's a very, very slow process. You can have a lot of power, but if you don't deliver it to that person's map, it won't affect them because you can only influence what you can feel. So you want to feel more through the mapping process. Okay, let's get back into training. Thanks.